Guys, our next speaker is Nagesh Sharma. So he is one of the few safe agilists in India. So we're all agilists here, but he claims to be a safe agilist. So you ask him why he's a safe agilist. And he works for Provertus now for a couple of months.
Yeah.
He's going to talk about Scaled Agile Framework.
Good afternoon, everybody. Awesome. How many of you feel that you are 100% agile? Raise hands. 100% agile. I see one hand. How many of you feel you are somewhere around 70 to 80% agile? 70 to 80. So how many of you feel you are 57.035% agile? Have you guys had any kind of experience working in scaling projects? Scaling agile practices, different layers of the organization? Anybody has any idea? Would you like to share some of the challenges which you see an organization see when they are trying to implement agile practices at different layers of the organization or enterprise?
First and foremost is like moving away from waterfall model to agile, and the understanding and the way of communication between team members or the manager to the team member is the foremost difficult thing. So even the higher management expects all the reporting should be there, all the processes should be as it is as defined for the waterfall model, whereas now you follow agile. So that is something on the top side things don't change, whereas internally you want to be still become agile.
Exactly. One of the biggest things which comes to agility itself is the change in the mindset, right? The way we actually used to develop software 2 decades before and the way we are developing software in a so complex environment, it is totally different. The things are more complex now. We cannot have any predictive process which can help us to go more agile. We need more empiricism. So let us see what are the different kinds of challenges enterprises faces when they try to go for agility. How to plan work across multiple teams. Now the days have gone when you have a team of probably 7 or 10 people only and they are working on developing some software. Now this is the day of enterprise agility where organizations have people, probably, if I take a rough example from one of the projects in one of my previous organizations, we used to work around 115 people working on the same product. Three teams geographically distributed. So the point of co-location is not at all there. How do we ensure that multiple people working on the same product backlog? You rightly said that how do we have the common language? How do we understand? How do we ensure that everybody has the same definition of done, probably shared definition of done? As a project manager, product manager or a business manager, I want to track the overall progress. How do I do that? Traditionally, for example, if I have Scrum, Scrum is more about self-organizing teams, cross-functional teams. When we talk about enterprise, we have also management involved in program level, in portfolio level. So in that case, how do we ensure a program manager has the visibility of how things are progressing, not only at the software, but integration of the software? How can we achieve coordination among the teams working on a large product backlog? How to maintain code quality? I think this is one of the things which was also touched by one of the first speaker, JP, that you cannot scale the crappy code. That means when you have multiple teams working together, it is very important that you have the code quality practices in place. How do we do that? Is there something which can help us in achieving that kind of agility? Let's try to explore. So do we have some things which we currently do? Everybody is adopting Scrum, everybody is doing some kind of coding practices, XP practices. So does it mean that we are not at all trying to do some kind of agility over enterprise? We do have some things, right? We do release plannings. So we are quite clear that what is going to be for the next at least 4 or 5 sprints. So does that mean that I am not at all taking care of my scalability? Okay. We are doing Scrum of Scrums. Suppose there are multiple teams, then one of the team member would represent and they will come back at least twice in a week, or it is recommended if daily it is happening, it is even better. They come up together and discuss that how my team is doing, what did we achieve as a team to ensure that we meet the sprint goal, or do we see any impediments. So is it enough for us? Community of practices. Epan told me, he is one of my friend actually, he has told that he is also leading one of the community of practices. The community of practices helps you. For example, we also have a community of practices for architects, in which the architects or probably the Scrum Master or product owners who are working in different teams comes together and discuss their problems. Probably that could help. We learn from each other, we share from each other. So these things are still in place. We are doing it. Product backlog refinement. In some way, product backlog refinement also helps the product owner and the team to say that what is going to come at least 3 or 4 sprints ahead. So does it mean that we are not at all doing any kind of scaling? Integrated Scrum planning. We have a couple of teams who work on the same product backlog, who share the same definition of done. So does it mean that we are still not scaling? These are some of the questions which comes to our mind when we think that we scale from team level to enterprise. How do we do that? So when it comes to scaling, do we have a silver bullet which can help us? If you ask me, I will say it's a blank slate. What works best for you, that is best for you. Somebody may say that scaling Scrum is something which is coming up, that is the best thing for me. Somebody may say, I will go ahead with the less framework. Somebody will say that DAD works best for me. So, when we were developing software a decade before or 2 decades before, we had choices, right? When Scrum started, we still had choices. Either I can develop in a waterfall way, or can I take the stark of choice and I say that I will go an agile way, where I start developing things incrementally. So, let me take this opportunity to introduce a framework which is publicly free and which is almost proven for the past 3 years, because that is something which was launched in 2012, which is also called a Scaled Agile Framework. This is the big picture. It looks quite big and quite complicated. It has got quite a lot of icons too, but I think we agree that there are quite a lot of roles also in an organization. I'm talking about companies which probably are trying to build satellite. I'm talking about firms which are trying to build solutions more than software. Companies like Schneider, they are moving from products to solutions. Because when you sell something to the customer, you say that my software works very well. Customer says that, no, but still I have some integration problems. You say that my software is right. You say that, okay, customer says that, but still I am not getting performance. You say that there is a problem with the product. The poor chap, he pays for everything. There is a product, there is a software, there is a hardware, there is a firmware. So just think about it, how painful it is for the customer. At the end of the day, I hope everybody in this crowd agrees that why are we developing software? Any guesses?
Make money. Read the book.
Going beyond the book, what is the value which we are going to achieve by building software?
Make world better.
Can we have clap for the gentleman? But ultimately, what we are trying to do, pardon?
We are addressing a need.
We are addressing the need. Very, very rightly said. Whose need? We are trying to build software to help solve business problems. I think that is the core thing which is there beneath every developer's mind. If it is not there, then he is not a developer, he is a programmer for me. Agree? Disagree? Mixed comments.
Disagree.
Disagree and commit. I love that. So basically, that is the reason why this framework is brought into place. This framework looks a bit complicated. We will try to deep dive into each of them. Very briefly, I would not eat up much of time also, because I know you guys have to have lunch also. So basically, this framework talks about how can we scale from team to program to portfolio. Let's try to see this empirically. Scrum is to safe. Scrum is to team as safe is for the entire organization. What are the core values? When we talk about Scrum, Scrum works best at teams. There is no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt. And Scrum also has 4 legs: transparency, inspection, adaptation, and these are based on empiricism, trust and courage. So there has to be some core values also in place for. Pardon? Okay. I thought you were raising your hand. The biggest thing comes from transparency. Any organization, if I have to scale from team to program to portfolio, it is very important that all the 3 layers are transparent to each other. How do I achieve transparency? It's so easy to say that we want to have transparency, but probably it is easy when we are 50 people, but is it equally easy when we are 500 people? 5,000? I see some heads nodding like that. Why do you feel, madam, that transparency becomes so difficult?
Because the way we communicate, the way of communication should be the same. The mindset of the people should be the same. And it can be, probably be, it is actually different when you group 5 people only. It will take some time for all the 5 people to be on the same mindset. When you are scaling it to 50 people, it becomes a little more difficult. When you are scaling it to 500, maybe it is possible, but it takes a lot of time.
It gets difficult, right?
Yeah.
It gets difficult, it adds a lot of complexity. Why? Because people are involved. And we all know that graph, right? We have x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, in which the x-axis is technology, the y-axis is the requirements, and z-axis is where we have the people. When there is more unknown than known, that's where the complexity arises.
Moreover, it's not just the people, it's the hierarchy starts. That is where the problem. It's basically the communication.
Yeah, yeah.
1:1 becomes 1:10. That 10 becomes 100,000, something like that. That is not.
So how can we have something when we are trying to achieve something at the program level? Program execution says that ability to execute large programs consistently in cadence. I would like to use this word 3 or 4 times during the session, and we will try to understand what this cadence means with a reasonable output. That means that when multiple teams are working together at the team level, it is very important that the combined work, when it is integrated, whether it is giving some reasonable output or not, whether it is usable. Okay, it meets my duty, but it is usable. Ultimately, we are selling software, right? Code quality. Now it says that Scrum doesn't prescribe about using XP practices. Scrum is a framework. But then what it has been seen by the industries is, as we are moving ahead in the enterprise, it is very important to have very strong engineering practices. And Scrum plus XP works great at teams. Only Scrum cannot bring you wonders. It's not a silver bullet at all. So SAFE says that if you want to succeed at team level and you want to ensure that you are scaling your code from probably 1,000 lines of code to millions lines of code, it is important that you have some set of rules. So XP practices help.
In fact, if you don't have such practices, better not to go to Scrum, because the failure is a lot higher. The moment we don't have practices, it's better to be in waterfall. It gives you the time and to know.
Scrum by itself has XP practices inbuilt.
I think we can definitely have some discussions around that.
Yeah.
I mean, Scrum never says about XP. At least Scrum guy doesn't talk about it.
But it has inbuilt
But
by itself.
XP complements very well with Scrum.
Yes.
I can say that. Scrum doesn't talk about it. SAFE says that you have to do this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you cannot
Scrum
scale code.
Scrum is all about the process, right? It's like you do stand up, you do review, retrospection, planning. You're pretty much done with the process.
I would say more framework.
Yeah.
And if at all I have
It
to
drives the
come to a
process.
consensus saying process, I would not say it's a predefined or predictive process. I would say it's an empirical process.
Agree.
That means I will experiment, I will learn, and I will understand about it.
But doesn't really force you to do those practices,
Yeah.
right? It's you take a call, right? But the moment you take a call not to implement those, you fail big.
And for all these to have, I need to have an alignment. How does the alignment happen? Alignment happens in multiple ways. I have just listed a few of them here. Alignment happens in release planning. Alignment happens during Scrum of Scrums. How do we do that? Let us see how we do that. Now these are the safe routes. Now SAFe started in somewhere in 2011 when Dean Leffingwell, he is the creator of the SAFe, he came up with a concept and he wrote a book called Scaling Software Agility. And when he came up with the book, and he did not make this framework publicized in 2011 because it was still in conception stage. Anybody, if he is interested in understanding more on scaling, please go through the book. It's a fantastic book by Dean Leffingwell. So 2012, SAFe 1.0 was into the market, and that has talked about the 3 core roots of the SAFe: Agile, Lean and Product Development Flow. Let us try to see what each one of them mean. When we talk about Agile, SAFe strongly recommends that Scrum works great. Scrum always works. If somebody says Scrum doesn't work, that means that he is not implemented it well. Scrum always works well, absolutely well at team level. But individually, is it good enough to scale? That's the point of question to definitely ask. So let's sprint. Extreme programming, extremely good code from great coders. The best programming practices, I would say. You cannot scale a crappy code. So this helps us. Let's program it. That's where probably I would say that extreme programming helps the testers also, to come to the developer level. JP talked about it, that we have to ensure that we write the test first and then we write the production code. How beautiful it is when the developer knows that whatever he has written works well. Have you guys, any of the developers here, tried to refactor the code written by someone else?
Or your own code which was written 2 years back.
How much confident you are when you are trying to test somebody else's code?
0.00000.
Nobody wants to touch anybody else's code, if you ask me, because it becomes your code then. It becomes your code and that becomes a big trouble for you. So when you are doing some practices like this, it helps you a lot to build confidence within yourself as a developer. Again, a question will come back to say that, does it mean that we do not need testers? Okay, I would say that go and see the session which is recorded by JP, SDET. We need it. Kanban. This is something which is picking up very fast. I would not say that this is very good for new product development, but this works excellent when you want to see sequential flow, when you want to see some batch processes, when you want to have a very good vision of how things are flowing. Because it has also got something very nice which is work in progress, which allows you to say that how much work I will take and how much it will go. Otherwise, there will be a difference in demand and supply. Maintenance, it works excellent.
Yeah.
Lean. When we talk about lean, respect for people, very important. If I talk about the house of lean, if you guys can try to imagine, I have one pillar here, another pillar here, and down I have the base. This is my house of lean. Then one of the strongest pillars is respect for people. Respect for people means that respect for your customers, respect for the people who you are working with. We have customers not only external, also internal. Whoever is on the receiving end is your customer. If a developer is developing something, he has to have the tester's mindset also to ensure that if I develop him, it should not break. Respect for him. The tester job doesn't end after raising the defects. He has to ensure that he has the respect for them. Is it alone? Lean leaders, very important. Leadership is all about making your hands dirty, coming down to the shop floor. I think this is something which I really like about the SAFe and the lean part is that leadership is not only responsible, he is accountable now. They are accountable for the product success. You'll say, how is it possible? My manager or my leader doesn't even know. I only work with my Scrum Master. Let us see, let us explore about it. Kaizen. I love this term. This is a Japanese terminology. For Kai means continuous and Zen means improvement, which says that it started with Toyota operating system, and they say that any tiny thing which can bring in improvement in your process is Kaizen for you. How can we apply this in my IT infrastructure? It works good for manufacturing. How do I do that? We all have heard about technical debt, right? Is it good or is it bad?
it's very good. He has the job.
Yeah, but again, for example, if I have too much of it, what should the team start doing it?
Hire more people.
Hire more people?
You are better.
Then probably it will become technical death, right? One of the teams chooses a Kaizen saying that I would have to start improving on my technical debt. Probably one of my reasons is I am having too much of duplicate code. I will start removing that. So such type of Kaizens can be taken and implemented in your IT. Okay, product development flow. This is a very good book. Anybody who wants to understand how new product development has to be there. So this is a book written by Don Winston, very good one, which talks about the different principles about the product development flow. It helps a lot. Enterprise agility, I would say that if somebody do not go by book, but at least has to follow these principles, then they will sustain good results. It would lead to good results. It talks about having an economic view. I would not go in deep, but for more details you can go through the book or talk to me separately, or we can discuss in an open hour also. But just to give a glimpse that this is very important. Normally when somebody talks about scale, or if you have seen webinars, people have a habit of scaling from team to program to portfolio. I thought for a change, let's start from the reverse order, right? Let's make leaders more accountable today. Let's start with portfolio. This is scaling to the portfolio. How portfolio things happens is, the portfolio is nothing but your enterprise layer. Here is where you have the portfolio program management involved, and you have big business ideas, really big. Probably the ideas which could be with respect to investment themes. So how do I ensure? I have so many big ideas, right? But I need to have some kind of filter mechanism for my ideas to ensure they are actually getting implemented. So this highly recommends saying that Kanban works very well when it is for business ideas. So you have high business ideas, you have the filter for those ideas, and then you move them, review them, analyze them, and give them for implementation to the teams. There is a quite fancy words used here, agile release train. We will talk about it while we move to the program, but if I have to explain you in brief about agile release train, these are like trains which carry features for particular value streams. Value streams are a set of activities concerning to particular features which you are trying to deliver customer with respect to particular value. For example, a customer might be having a solution which he is trying to build for residential home energy management system. He also wants to have for healthcare solution. Probably your solution goes with a little bit of tweak, but to the same customer in different value streams. It has got a lot of emphasis on the leadership. So the leadership is made accountable at the portfolio level like this. How it happens? Centralized strategy, decentralized control, or decentralized execution. The decisions which has to be taken very frequently, they should not be decided at the strategy level. They should be given to the teams. Teams should have the autonomy, because reason is the teams have the mastery. If the decision of having TDD or BDD, the portfolio program management has to take, then what is the team is doing? Team has to be given that autonomy, because they are the guys who are working. I just get a very good, small example. In Netherlands, whenever there is some accident, what happens is the ambulance comes immediately, and there are some guys, there are some folks who are called as brothers. And what they will be doing is they will be actually holding their hands, and they would not allow anyone to come inside. And being an external, if you are actually coming to try to help them, they will say, please back off, we know our job well, we know how to do it, and at the end everything is fine. Would you like if somebody from the program management comes to you and tells you, this is how you have to code? Would you like it?
No, I think
Never, right?
Nobody will.
Nobody will. So this gives you that autonomy to say that you have strategy which is common, probably like a test policy in an organization, but I leave it to you to come up with your own plan. Kanban system. The Kanban system helps a lot in ensuring that you have a right flow of business ideas which are converting into epics. We will talk about that. Value description via business and architect. So what is the value which we are going to achieve from portfolio? So the value is business and architectural epics. So this is a funnel. We have a funnel which has a lot of ideas. The ideas are reviewed by the portfolio program management team and then they are analyzed. After the analysis, a portfolio backlog is created. Pardon?
The visibility is not clear. Can you raise it up for the bottom of this one?
Unless you can turn off the light.
I think we can turn off the light.
No, it's not about the light. It's the height of the projection. Yeah. Now it's yeah.
Okay.
Little still.
I think we have to move a little bit. Is it okay? No?
It was better before. Yeah.
It was better before. Can I ask you to come front? If you don't mind.
4 minutes for most of the
I think, yeah, maybe if we can.
the second half of the presentation is not visible.
Get me this. What can we do about it?
If you can
Yeah, you can
raise
actually use it.
We are doing it. We are doing it. Yeah. In the meanwhile, it comes up. So it happens in that way that you have a big business ideas which are refined, and the output of those ideas becomes the portfolio product backlog. Now, what is the significance of that portfolio product backlog? We will see. That will help you to take the business epics or architectural epics which can be implemented in the program.
This should be fine, right? That's the best.
It's better.
We are sorry for that. That's the Kaizen, right? Continuous improvement. Definitely for the next sprint. We talked about train. We saw some trains. So, what is this train? For example, if somebody has to go from London to New York, what the person has to do? Can anyone tell what is the preparations needed?
Book a flight.
Book a flight. Absolutely. What else?
Board the flight.
If you miss the flight, what will happen?
Alternate flight.
On contrary, you have to go to Mysore. What you will do? Directly go.
Take a cab.
From where is
Directly go to the station. Probably if you miss 10 o'clock train, 10:30 another train, 11 o'clock another train, 11:30 another train. Agile release trains are trains, virtual trains, which carry features. And this has a virtual composition of 50 to 120 people. So how it happens is, it's a self-organizing, cross-functional, self-managing team of agile teams. That means it could be possible that at team level there are many teams which are working on Scrum. They are virtually part of this agile release train. Why they are boarding the train? Because they have to deliver some value in terms of features to the customer. Now, how it happens? It happens at 5 to 12 weeks. That means that it could be possible that a team is still ramping up and they are not at the same cadence or pace of other teams. So in that case, they may not be able to deliver value. It's okay. The product owner goes to the stakeholder and says that it's fine, don't worry, we missed the first train, it will be delivered in the second train, which is probably 4 or 5 sprints later only. It is easy for the business owners or product owners also to convince the stakeholders or customers to say, even though the first train missed, we have other trains which are planned. So that is the concept of agile release train, which synchronizes sprints and PIs. How does it happen? Because then SAFe has a lot of emphasis when we say cadence. All the teams which are working on a single product backlog has to have the same start and end date. This sounds a little not so comfortable, but that's the way. Because that will provide you cadence. That will help you in synchronizing your product increments not only at the software but at the system level. When we talk about program, scaling to the program level, it comes with working system increments every 2 weeks. That means it could be the case that there are 4 or 5 teams which are working on different components of your software and they are building the software. It is very important to make their work integrated regularly. Pardon? Okay. You raised your hand, so I thought you had a question. So how does that happen? Continuous integration, continuous delivery. Continuous integration helps a lot in making everybody's work integrated. It's very important to have that increment every 2 weeks, aligned to a common vision via single backlog. So that means that there will be a system team. So all the software teams or the teams which are working on their product backlog, they are working well. And now when their work is integrated at the system level, this system team ensures that everything is working fine when the system of systems is getting developed. Face-to-face release planning. One of the agile principles that we embrace face-to-face communication rather than other forms of communication. That is the best way of communication. Face-to-face along with whiteboarding is considered to be the best form of communication. So that means how it happens, whenever there is a release plan, all the team members who are boarding this agile release train. Yeah, I have an instruction from my host that I have 5 minutes. have to get together and then plan the release planning. So how it is done is the business owner or the chief product owner is the guy who is going to give the business vision. He is going to talk about it, and then teams are going to break up and teams are going to plan their own team objectives, which is at the team level. So everybody has the same shared vision. I'm just touching a little bit upon key roles which are very important in SAFe. We have a train, then we have to have a driver. We have a train engineer or the driver who will ensure that everything is working fine. That guy is called as release train engineer. Release train engineer, you can consider him as a chief scrum master, because when you have multiple teams working together. Madam had a question that when we are scaling up from 50 people to 500 people, how do we have the same synchronization? How do we share the same language? So that becomes very easy with having some practices with respect to the program level. So RTE, release train engineer, is a chief scrum master. He will facilitate program and release level activities. He facilitates the scrum of scrums, ensures there is enough level of transparency at the program level, within the teams, across the teams. Resolves impediments, ensures there is a collaboration. I would just talk about this and then probably I will stop. And if there are more questions, definitely we would like to have discussion, learning and sharing during the open hour session. Otherwise, I am also available here. There is a term which is called development cadence and release on demand. This means you have a fixed time floating scope concept. That means you have trains which are available probably, this is May 25th, this is probably June 16th, maybe May, June, July, August, something like that. So that means that I have the major releases which are planned on a particular duration, but what if my customer asks me, what if there is a need from the business? I should be in a position. So every sprint, my intention is I have a program increment. As in Scrum, at team levels, we have potentially shippable product increment at every sprint. Program layer, we call it as program increments. So the team ensures that they are ready. And whenever there is a need from the business, they can pull in. This is called develop on cadence and release on demand. I had a couple of slides, but maybe just we talk about the team. What do you guys say? It's again on the self-organizing team. You are the self-organizing team. I see absolute silence here. I'll try to wrap in 2 minutes in that case. Yeah. So when we talk about the teams, it's much more same as the Scrum, along with that XP. Because traditionally Scrum doesn't talk about XP practices. SAFe says that Scrum works very good with XP. So you have the same working software every 2 weeks. Empower self-organizing, self-managing and cross-functional teams. XP practices. And value delivery is via user stories. So if you see at team level, the value delivery is via user stories. Program level, the value delivery is via epics, or features. And at the portfolio level, it is business epics and architectural epics. This is quite much about SAFe. We had so many overshot sessions. I had a case study also, but we can definitely discuss later. Any questions which we can take in another 1 minute or 2, or we will discuss in open hour, and we break for lunch. I can see so many hungry faces here. Yes, definitely.
So what are the tools that are used?
Pardon?
Next session is also on the same.
Priyank is going to talk about escape challenges, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I parked all my questions to Priyank.
Thank you.
Hey, is that a slide again?
Priyank doesn't come with slide.
Okay, then we break for lunch. Thank you very much.
Alright guys, just a moment, I'll hand over the gift to the speaker. Alright, thank you Nagesh.
Thank you.
Okay, so everybody dropped your lucky draw in that box. Okay, so we have a 45-minute lunch hour. We will meet back at 2:15 with a game or a talk. It's about how heavy lunch you have.